Okay. Okay.
I have
Sounds
you,
good.
and I can hear you as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Ready?
Coach, we'll go ahead. Yep. We'll go ahead and get started with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like I said yesterday, very disappointing loss for us. I give the Steelers all the credit. Those guys came in with a great game plan that they executed, and they controlled and dominated the line of scrimmage. Some of the things that we have been doing in the past. We did not play our style of brand of ball, and as quickly as I talked to the coaches and talking to some of the players, this game is behind us. Our focus right now is on the Detroit Lions and the Detroit Lions only. And we're looking forward to recorrecting the wrongs that we did this past week and getting back on track. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go ahead and make sure you guys use the raise hand function. We'll go to Mike K to start out.
Hey, Steve, I was just curious, what did you take away from Sam Darnold's performance, and will he be your starter against the Lions?
I thought Sam, made some good throws yesterday. A couple of throws, I felt like, we had an opportunity to get out there a little quicker and a chance to have a touchdown, particularly the one, the deep one to Terrace down their sideline. And then also the one we got the PI on our sideline in the end zone. So he and I spoke this morning. He realized that he needs to get it out there a little quicker. But also I thought he made some great throws, stepping up in the pocket, buying time, keeping his eyes down the field. That one outlet and check down to Chuba that turned into a big play. I thought he went through his progression and found an open guy there. And then also is continuing conversation that, don't be afraid to take off and use your legs and run and get the first down. So I felt he did some good things. We got to do a much better job of protecting to give him more time in the pocket. And to answer your last question, yes, he will be the starter this week.
All right, guys, again, please use the raise hand function. Doesn't look like we have any hands up right this moment. So Mike Solarte, why don't you take us?
Thanks, Ryan. Good afternoon, Steve. The low output on the run game, you credit Pittsburgh for their execution and controlling the line of scrimmage. Is the genie kind of out of the bottle for you guys and your desire to pound the football and run it? And how do you counteract teams that are going to be stacking 8, 9 in the box to slow you guys down?
No, I don't think the genie is out of the box, as you just mentioned. I think we have to do a much better job of really executing. When we watch the tape, we just didn't perfect a lot of times our execution within the call. So again, I feel confident in the guys that we have up front and the things that we've been doing previous to Sunday. We just got to get back to the basics, and we have to also create, Mike, opportunities when teams are doing that, to try to push the ball down the field, so we can loosen them up a little bit. So just across the board, we didn't play to the standard that we're used to. And, we're going back this week, even off a short week, we're going to put the pads back on. And, that's something, again, that I try to reflect on myself to figure out the answers to some of these things. And, that's definitely going to be something that we'll get back to this week.
And if I could just follow up, does the short week actually help you guys flush this one even faster? Because now you got to get into prep mode for Detroit.
I think so, because, when you're a competitor, as we all are as players and coaches, it's no different coming off the terrible loss against Cincinnati and having a Thursday night game against Atlanta. The quicker you can flush it and get, moving on to the next opponent, the better you're going to be. So, yes, I'm excited about that.
Thank
David
you.
Newton and then Joe Person.
Hey, Steve, you say the genie's not out of the bottle, but it seemed like, especially when Foreman's running the ball the last few games, but particularly this last one, I mean, they're meeting him in the backfield. Defenders are. Is there something going wrong there? Have they figured that part out when he's carrying the ball, or?
No, David, I don't think so. If you really analyze and dissect the certain plays, I didn't think, and Deontay will tell you as well, he didn't make the right reads a lot of times. Could have cut the ball back, particularly that one we had in the red zone. Should have been a touchdown, going opposite of our tunnel. So I think it's certain things, again, I'm not taking away from how hard those guys played, but also on our end, we didn't execute the way we would normally do. And up front, when teams are getting downhill, when we can't get to the second level, we got to meet them in the hole. So we got to do a much better job coming off the double teams quicker.
And can you update us on, I guess, CJ Henderson or anybody else that was injured?
I don't have any updates right now. I'm still waiting to get that information from the training staff.
Appreciate it.
Steve, if CJ can't go, would it still be Keith Taylor, or would you consider someone else there?
It's definitely going to be by committee. Keith would be the guy that would start, but then we have a strong, rotation with possibly different guys coming in.
Would that include guys like Tay Hayes and or TJ Carey?
Those would be the guys that you would probably see in there. Right now it's a possibility that we can bring, Tay back up on the 53, but definitely that rotation.
Okay, Darren and then Kevin Tolbert.
Steve, you mentioned going back into pads when you open this week. I mean, that's the last one of those you got left this week. I mean, why is it important, and is that an important part of getting that mentality back, is just kind of making sure these guys understand what they need to do?
Yes, I mean, I talked to the staff about this, and I had already made this assumption, going into the Seattle game with anticipation of the long flight, hard-nosed game that we were going to take them off, getting ready for the Steelers. But this was really the first week since I've taken over that we wasn't in pads, even though we only have one left. So I'm not looking to try to hold on to it. I want to try to get back to try to create that mindset, as you just mentioned, that we had previously. So was that the reason? I don't know, but I know we're going to get back to the standard of what we set.
Steve, you talked about physicality yesterday. You're going to be facing a Detroit team that's a very physical team as well. So how do you get these guys going in the direction to get that high level of physicality back necessarily, especially late in the season when teams are starting to shift into that next gear?
I think, again, just getting back in the pads, trying to create that mindset. We have some veteran guys, but pretty much across the board, we still a young football team, and that's what I need to consider. And they still need to be, guided in the right direction. And I think putting the pads back on is that direction we need to go in. So I feel very confident about that.
All right, Mike K and then Vashti, please.
Steve, how much does the shuffling of the coaching staff, especially in the secondary, how much do you think that's attributed to maybe Keith's performance this past week?
I don't think you need to isolate one player. Really look at the whole body of work. And I throw the question out. You can answer it on your own. You don't have to do it now. But from a production standpoint, or the consistency, and these guys are operating under, I feel like we're making progress now. All right, and it could be because they've gotten more reps. They've seen a lot more football, or whatever the situation may be. Because I really don't think it's a lack of numbers that's on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm not going to isolate one player. I'm looking at the body of work back there as a whole group. In regards to Keith, as I stated last night, yesterday, along with Keith and the other players, when you want to be 11, you got to go out there and make your plays. Have I lost confidence in Keith? No, Keith's a good football player. He's made plays for us. You saw the big play that he made last week, on the post, a deep ball in the middle of the field. You saw the play, big time play he came up with Atlanta on third down. So he has that ability right there. But when given an opportunity, particularly on third down, we got to get off the field.
Hi, Coach. I think for the second week in a row, but I'm specifically asking about that goal line series, 1st and goal from the 4. What did you see, and what did you think about the play calling on that series?
Well, I didn't question the play calling at all. Once again, I think a lot of times here, if you go back and really analyze it, I mentioned it already with Deontay, he would tell you he needs to do a much better job of seeing the blocking patterns and adjust and be ready to cut the ball back. And then also up front, we got to sustain our blocks. We got to do a great job of coming off the ball and allowing these guys to get underneath their pads right here and get downhill as a running back. So I don't question the call at all. We just got to go out and execute.
Steve Reed, then Joe Person.
Hey, Steve, defensively, you guys gave up a lot more yards than you normally do on the ground. What did you see Sunday that needs to improve here as you go forward when you're facing two pretty good running backs this week?
Is very simple, but we still got to go execute. We got to, eyes, hands, hips, and feet. We talk about our weapons all the time. We talk about playing with violent hands. Our defensive line played too lateral yesterday, which allowed our linebackers not to get downhill. And then once we get downhill, we didn't do a great job across the board using our hands and getting off blocks. We had some basic runs that we've seen, throughout the year, as well as going back to even the OTAs and training camp that we work on that, we just didn't fit because of, maybe one person, lack of communication and not seeing it. So again, this time of the year, I think it's not so much about the volume. It's just about the base fundamentals. And as a coaching staff, that's what I talked about this morning. I'm not looking to try to increase the volume in what we're doing. I want the execution. So we're going to get back to, again, the base fundamentals. And, good football teams in December, that's what they focus on.
Steve, you didn't want anyone in the building talking about playoffs, but since we last spoke to you, Tampa Bay lost again. You're still kind of controlling your own playoff path here. Is that something that you'll address when the guys come into them?
I'm going to create a little bit of clarity when I said I don't want anybody talking about the playoffs. I'm talking about players and coaches. And that hasn't changed. What we need to be talking about is how we're going to stop the run. What we need to be talking about is how we're going to reestablish the line of scrimmage to perfect our run game. All right. And we need to be talking about how we're going to convert on third down and find a way defensively to get off the field on third down. And all that focus right now is all on Detroit. All right. Nothing more, nothing less. And we're not worrying about that.
And then also as a follow-up, you've talked before about wanting to see more takeaways on defense. We hadn't really seen a lot of that. Did you think the ball that Shaq kind of were at Shaq's feet yesterday, is that one that he could or should have made?
Well, Joe, let me go back and say that, and I'm gonna live in the past. I don't like going in the past, but we had two critical ones last week that I think was that helped us win that football game. So to say that we haven't had any lately, I don't agree. We didn't have any yesterday, which could have helped us win the football game. Matt got his hands up front, tipped the ball, which was great because we always encourage those guys to do that. I felt like watching it on tape, if he didn't tip it, Shaq would have been there with a possibility to get an interception. Even after looking at it, even off the tip, Shaq needs to come up with that one. And we need to find a way. I felt like Xavier had it was a good call defensively based off D&D. He had a great break on the ball. He needs to come up with that interception right there on third down. So, yes, I do agree. Yesterday, we needed more opportunities and we didn't get them.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thank you, Coach Wilks.
All right. Thank you.